to episode
13 episodes.
13 episodes of POV with Hailey and Brie.
You guys might think, 13 episodes? That's nothing.
What's the big deal? It is a big deal.
We'll tell you. It's a big deal because this is the last episode of season 1.
It's the season finale.
Season finale.
So you know it's going to be good. You know we're going to be talking about some deep stuff.
Woo! Gotta end it on a good note.
Gotta end it on a note. Sorry. Hailey,
That's okay.
for the final time of season 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you?
Today I'm probably, let's see, probably a 7.
Not bad.
I'd say a 7.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not feeling too hot, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
But for not feeling too hot and you're a 7?
Yeah.
What a trooper.
I took a nap, so
Yeah.
that really helped a lot. So,
Love that.
yeah. What about you, Brie?
I'm about a 7 too.
What?
I'm feeling good. We're going to have some fun tonight.
We are going to have some fun tonight.
So I'm excited for some food and some things to happen tonight.
Yes.
So,
Party time.
party time. I have a question of the week.
Oh,
I don't know if you have one, if you're okay with me asking.
go ahead.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
I have to give credit to people at work who sometimes listen to my podcast.
Shout
but
out to those people.
Shout out to those people. This specific question comes from someone at work who doesn't watch my podcast, so
Oh,
rude to that person.
interesting.
This is a question that is asked at work very frequently,
Okay.
very annoyingly. Are you ready for it?
Now I'm concerned.
Is soup a cereal? Nope, I got that wrong. Wow, that was bad. Is cereal a soup?
Cereal is soup?
Because soup is liquid and stuff in it. Cereal is
No.
liquid and stuff in it.
I don't think it's a soup.
I don't have a good argument. I agree with you. But there are some very strong arguments as to why cereal is indeed a soup.
I say it's not a soup because I feel like soups are savory. I don't think I've ever had a sweet soup.
Some cereals are savory. Have you ever had Goleen?
No.
This is just straight up carbs and
But they don't sell any like sweet soups. You know, like they're not like, here,
This
have
is a
this
good
chocolate
argument.
soup, have this vanilla soup. Like it's just like potatoes or like chicken noodle soup.
That's a good argument. Ooh,
Ooh,
I'm taking that back to work.
take it back to work. Let me know what they say.
All right. Gonna message Jeff.
Oh,
All right.
Jeff. Oh, Jeff.
Hailey, what's today's episode about?
Today, so our last kind of episode is just centered around mental health, and more specifically, we wanted to dive into body image. We felt like it was something that everyone has either gone through, is going through, will go through, no matter if you're a man or a woman, young or old. So we thought it was super important to talk about, especially since we feel like it's not really talked about enough.
Yeah.
So we wanted to spit some facts, spit some knowledge on you guys.
Yeah. And I think too, like, part of our like POV, like umbrella of topics is like physical health and just like health in general. And so we haven't really got into that aspect in season 1. So we're kicking off the end with mental health, because I think your mental health affects like every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Like especially, health in other ways.
That's true.
And, as a 20-year-old or in your 20s, like it doesn't go away, like
Yeah.
it's, it definitely for me in like high school, that's where it like really started, and I would think like, when you're 20, you're like old enough, to like be like, no, I'm not going to believe those lies.
Yeah.
But they're still there.
You. Yeah.
They're still there.
Yeah.
So, and Hailey and I were talking right before we filmed this. This actually is not something that we, like Hailey and I have talked about like in depth as like a friendship like topic. So this is going to be an interesting thing for us too to like learn about each other's experience
Yeah.
in this aspect.
I mean, sometimes, like, just like any other friends, like, we go
Yeah.
through the motions of, like, oh, I feel like this outfit's ugly today.
Yeah.
Or, like,
And
I
we
feel
hype
like
each
I
other
look
up.
500 pounds.
And we're
And,
like,
like,
no.
yeah, no, you're crazy. You know, so, yeah, but actually just, like, diving into it, and, yeah, it'll be good.
It'll be good.
It'll be good.
Let's dive in. I think the first thing we want to talk about is, well, I'll say for me, I feel like I say that all the time because I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, that's my hair. Mental health wasn't really talked about when I was growing up. I remember in like 5th grade, they did a segment on bulimia and anorexia, and it was like a scare tactic of like this person died because, or like this person's teeth all fell out because she did bulimia, and like all this stuff, like, and I just remember being terrified to like ever have like
Interesting.
to ever like struggle with bulimia or like anorexia, because I was just like, I'm gonna die, like I don't want to die, like that. Like didn't stop like, you know, some of the things, but like, yeah, I just remember that was the only way it was talked about, was like in scare tactic kind of ways.
Yeah.
Probably isn't the healthiest way to talk to a 5th grader about it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I don't feel like it was talked about at all growing up, at least for me. Yeah, like I don't remember hearing about it at school up until like probably until I was in like high school, I think.
Yeah.
But like elementary school, middle school, I don't feel like it was really talked about. My family didn't really talk about it, and I think that was just because like nobody we knew was struggling with it at the time. So yeah, but it's so interesting, like as you grow up, like at least for me, like in high school, to like just be like bombarded with all this like information and having like people come forward, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? Like this is a foreign territory to me.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't want to say common, but it's kind of is common nowadays where people are coming out and they're, you know, sharing their stories and talking about like what they struggle with and what they've gone through. So it's so interesting to me. It's like very normalized now, at least from my experience. So it's very interesting.
Which is like a good and a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think like in some ways, I feel like our culture sometimes like puts, you know, like things like anxiety, depression, like all that kind of stuff like on a pedestal of like, I don't want to like devalue anybody's experience or like everything is so real, like what people feel, but I do feel like sometimes it's just like almost idolized in a way, like obviously you struggle with anxiety, it's like, and yeah, it is more normalized,
or it becomes like a personality trait. Almost. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah.
So what was your, I guess, like journey with like body image specifically, like, you know, like where did it start, like how was it growing up?
Trying to think.
Yeah.
I think I started at least to notice that I looked different than the other girls like that I grew up with. I think when I was like in elementary school, I want to say like 3rd or 4th grade. I feel I wasn't a small child. I mean, I wasn't like massive, but like the women in my family, we're just not petite, very small. And I think, I don't remember, I think I was in like the 3rd or 4th grade, and I started to like get acne. So acne is like genetic in my family. On my mom's side, I think I can say that like out of my brothers and sisters, like I'm the one that got it the worst. You can't tell very much now, and if you can, keep it to yourself. But yeah, so I started to get acne when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade, and then by middle school, it just like was terrible. And so I don't have any pictures, and I'm not going to put them up on the screen. But if you knew me at the time, then you know what I'm talking about. But that was like super hard for me.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like when you go to middle school, like you're like end of like elementary school, middle school, like your body's changing, and you're like, what the heck is going on? And
I've always wanted to be cool.
oh, apparently
Siri's
always wanted to be cool.
That
Apparently,
was wild.
sorry. Be quiet, Siri. And so yeah, it was just like a super interesting experience. I feel like when I was in high school, I was super, super hard on myself, just because I didn't look like all the other girls, and I didn't feel pretty, even though, like, I don't know. I don't know. I always like try to tell myself, and I know it's like super condescending in a way, and I apologize, but like I always used to like try to tell myself like I'm not the ugliest person in the world. Like that that helps boost up my self-esteem. I don't think anybody is like disgustingly ugly, but like whenever I feel like not great about myself, I'm like, well, at least I'm not the ugliest person in the world. But I don't know. So it's very interesting. But what also has been like very interesting to like look back on now from like being 23 and like looking back at like my high school self is like in high school, I remember like thinking I was like so fat or like so big.
Yeah.
And obviously like for women, especially, you go through like a second body change in your 20s, which that was not talked about, at least to me. And so, like, I look back at it and I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, I don't know why I thought I was so big, because clearly I'm, like, not that size now. But it just is wild, like, the amount of like pressure that like you put on yourself because of like what others look like and what social media is portraying. It's wild. Like I remember, I don't know how old I was. I think I was in like middle school, early high school, and like I remember, I think I went like swimsuit shopping with like my mom, I want to say. And I remember getting like a tankini or like a one piece because I was so insecure, but like sobbing and just being like, all the other girls wear these cute bikinis. Does anybody remember those bikini tops? They're like the bandeau ones with the fringe. Yeah. Terrible idea.
Oh, no.
Looking back at it now, I mean, that was not it. That was not it. We'll have to pop an image up on the screen. No. All the women on here are going to know what I'm talking about. But like I used to be like devastated. I'd be like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
But like it's wild. Like I wish I could like it's one of those things where it's like you wish you could like go and like give yourself a hug at that time and be like, you don't even understand. Like yeah. What about you?
Dude, this is like giving me like throwbacks to like middle school and high school of like my thought process. And it just makes me so sad, like the thoughts I was thinking. I literally cannot tell you when it started, because I remember in elementary school, like being so confident, like not even having a thought of like, oh yeah, like I'm whatever. And then middle school hit, and I don't know, but like my first memory of it is, do you remember the Special K boxes? Like, you know, Special K cereal? They would have advertisements on their boxes of like lose like 2 inches off your waist, and it was like this tiny, tiny girl with a tape measure.
Yes.
And it was just like, and I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want to lose 2 inches off my waist. I looking back at pictures, I was skinny.
You're teeny now.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't it weird to like look back and like how you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was so big.
Yeah, and that it just makes me so sad because I'm like, dude, like, and I'll like when I catch myself now like being self-conscious over my body, I'm like, no, like I just have to like snap myself out of it, because it's like, remember like when you were in middle school and high school and you would think like terrible things about yourself, and now you look back with like a clearer mind and you're like, oh, like I've always been like beautiful. I've always been like, you know, how God's made me. But I just remember in high school, like wanting to be a literal twig, like not a healthy twig. And I remember, I think
skinny was the thing.
Skinny was a thing.
As teeny as a toothpick as you could be,
Hannah
like
Montana,
that was it.
Selena Gomez.
Isn't that so weird how society has like changed?
Yeah.
Like its outlook on things, because like when we were in school it used to be, and that's like what, when we were in like middle school, that's like 10 years ago, at least for me, maybe like
12.
And so like the thing was to be so tiny, and now it's like you gotta have the curves, like you gotta look like this, and if you don't, then that's like, it's wild.
It's so messed up how like people treat women, and like even guys, like guys have completely unrealistic standards, like
because of what society is putting out
like
there.
Chris Hemsworth, like all those people, their job is to like be fit, like that is their literal job, is to like be in the gym, and that's just like not. I mean, for some people, like you want to do that, that's awesome. Like some people can sustain working out that much and working and having a social life. Like congrats for you, but like it's not an easy thing or a realistic thing to do for most people. But yeah, I remember in middle school, I did my first diet, and I did the Special K diet, and I hid it from my parents. But I would have, and I did it in high school too. Like there was like the Special K shakes, the Special K granola bars, and like that is all I would eat, and then except at dinner, and I would eat, but like if there were any carbs, like wouldn't eat the carbs. And I don't know, like that, it just makes me so sad, because I'm like, I don't even know what I was like striving for, because I was just like, so like there can be 0% body fat on me, and I was just like, it just makes me so sad.
No, that is so sad.
How did I get to that point in like my high school? And it's literally just comparison to like friends, and like, you know, people who are twigs, and I also think like, you know, I don't think I viewed my body as it was. Like I don't know what was going on in my head, where I just thought I was like not, you know, how my body actually looked.
Yeah. It's
wild.
It's crazy. It's so wild. At least for like me, I'm a very like, I don't know what the word for it is, but like it's like very hypocritical in a way, but it's like a domino effect, where it's like, oh, I don't feel good about myself, I feel sad, food is a comfort. And then it just like, it's this like never ending cycle. And so sometimes like, I don't know, especially like people who like want to see a difference, like having the determination to like even see that is it just doesn't happen overnight.
No. And
I think for me growing up, it was like I needed this to happen like overnight. So it's crazy. It's so wild.
I know. And I think as like high schoolers and middle schoolers, you in your brain, it's like, so time is like, you know, you're still forming your idea of like what a year is, what like, you know, and so like for me, like going on diets, doing stupid stuff, like I was like, I want to lose like 10 pounds in like 2 weeks. Like that's just not realistic, and not understanding, okay, what is health? Like how do you do that? And I think, you know, something that also wasn't talked about a lot is like anxiety and depression, and like the way it was talked about like around me and in like my high school was like, that was like, it was only a severe case, like you only had anxiety, depression, and you were like in the hospital, or you were like you know, not, you were like crazy in the head basically.
No, that's true.
But and I think looking back, like I don't know where the like anxiety started, but like I remember I feel like this whole like body image stuff led to a little bit of like the anxiety that I struggled with in like college, and even now sometimes, just like that's like the root of like a lot of things. I think it's just like not being confident in myself, and not realizing, not loving myself well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't like, and it's something that you have to. I mean, I'm obviously not at the point where I feel super confident either, but it's like something that I strive for. Is like on my days that I like put on an outfit to like go out for the night, just to get ready for the day or whatever, and I'm like, wow. Like it's very rare, but sometimes I'm like, wow, I look actually decent today.
Yeah.
Like I want to feel that way every day. Obviously, you don't want to talk bad about yourself. You don't want to like look down upon yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it also is so interesting because the way that we perceive ourselves is so different than how like others perceive us.
Yeah.
Because like I was talking about earlier, like there will be times where like I come over to your house and I'm like, bro, I look like I'm 5 months pregnant
And I'm like,
on a
what
good
are you
day.
talking about?
Yeah, it's what it's just like we pick apart ourselves in the
Yeah.
mirror. And like any type of like compliment or anything we just like shove out of the way, and I feel like it's just like how you said, like anxiety and depression have a lot to do with it, and I think it's just like a mental battle, at least for me.
Yeah.
And I'll have to like catch myself on it and be
Yeah.
like, hey, that's not good, because then I'll just go in this downward spiral, and it's like, well, that's like how I was talking about earlier, like how I cope with things. It's like, well, you said you didn't like the way you look, but now you're emotional and now you're going to eat an ice cream. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because now you're going to wake up and feel more upset. It's just like this like never ending snowball effect. But I really think it really starts with like having a positive mindset, and it's not something easy to do. It's not something that's going to happen overnight.
No.
But like anything, if you work hard at it and you take the time out of your day to really try your best, and like also have support, like it's not something you can do by yourself to change your whole mindset on the way that you think you look, or how like you want to see yourself as. So it is like super important to have like either like family or friends or coworkers or like people that you like respect, like higher ups, like I don't know, like mentors or like anybody, to just like fall back on and to like help you and be like, hey, listen, like this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And today I'm just not having a good day. Like, can you, I don't know, but just like talk about it instead of just being like, oh, well, I'm just going to give up. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's just never ending type of thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like looking back on like high school and how you used to think about it as a high schooler, do you think you've gotten better, or like how's the process been from like high school to now?
I think I've gotten better.
Yeah.
I think, like I stated earlier, like how no one talks about how women go through like a second change in their body when they're in their 20s, is like, I think that kind of caught me off guard for a little bit. But yeah, I try to as much as I can. Like, obviously I still have my bad days, but I feel like I'm at the point where it's like, if someone doesn't like the way that I look, then that's on them. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And if like they can just keep it to themselves, like it doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day. Like it depends on like how like I view myself.
Yeah.
And so obviously like it's one day at a time. But I feel like in high school I cared about a lot about how people saw me and viewed me.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm just kind of like, who cares?
Yeah. I got to that point at the end of last year. I was like, I would always wear makeup to work. I mean, this is a bad thing, but I would always like wear makeup to work and like do my hair and blah, blah, blah. And then end of last year, I was just like, honestly, I don't even care. Like, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go to work, like, however I want. Like, if I want to put, a lot of effort into how I look, great. Like, I can do that. But it doesn't need to be like this everyday thing. And then, let's talk about the second, like, body change. Because I literally, I had, like, some acne growing up. And then, like, the second, like, I think like 22 hit, and bam, like I was just like cystic acne, like it was A, painful, B, like killed my self-esteem. I think like at that point in my life, I had gone through like a, I don't know, just like a health phase in like a good and healthy way, where I was like working out to like care for my body and not to like, not because of like,
Yeah,
I wanted
not to
to
be,
look well,
yeah,
but
yeah.
because I wanted to take care of myself. And so like, you know, working out helps with like mental health stuff. So I was like in a great place, and then the like acne came and it just like plummeted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? We go through a change when we're in middle school. Why the heck do we need one
Yeah.
when we're early 20s?
I don't know.
Why do we need to kill the confidence?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
So
freaking
strange.
dumb. It's tragic.
I'll have to do some research on it.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Literally.
No, yeah.
Shout out to Accutane.
Accutane saved the both of us.
Yeah,
so now our skeletons are glowy green.
Mint green.
Mint green.
Mine's probably dark green because I was on it a full year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. People that don't know what we're talking about, if you are on Accutane, it's like so strong that it, I guess, apparently turns your skeleton like green.
Yeah.
So strange.
Don't quote us.
Don't quote us, but that's what we've
What we've heard.
So, Accutane's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's another series, another episode.
Yeah. We'll talk about Accutane.
More in depth.
Here's what I found.
Oh my gosh,
Siri just
leave
really
me
wants to
alone.
be- honestly, Siri should be in this episode. Faith. How has faith affected this whole process or this whole issue?
I'm trying to think. I remember when I was in high school. I don't remember what age I was. I want to say maybe a junior, but I can't remember exactly. Yeah. But I remember the way that we used to do it in small group at church was we used to, what was it? We used to like separate like once a month, like small group time. So like all the girls would be together and all the boys would be together. And I remember I got asked to speak kind of about body image to like all these girls.
Whoa.
And I remember being like so scared, and I'd be like, what do you want me to talk about? And so my small group leader, my small group leader at the time, Jessica, was like, hey, like I think you'd be really good for this. Like, I feel like you've gone through like a challenging time with body image, and you feel like you've come out of it. So I'm like, okay. So I remember just like being like, I don't know, and just like trying my best to like lean into God and see if this was something that I like was supposed to do, and I felt called to, so I obviously did it. But I just talked about like how it's crazy, how like the oh my gosh, what's the word? Society. I don't know. I've said it at least 15 times. I can't believe I forgot it. Like, places such a huge, like, I don't know, like impact or emphasis on like how you're supposed to look. And I remember talking about like makeup, and I was the girl where like I thought like even with a face full of acne, like putting on foundation and making my face the same color, like white or cream, that like that's what needed to happen, because having like just a red face was like the worst thing in the world. And it just like in my mind, like it probably didn't make my acne any better, but like in my mind it was like, oh, this is like I just like this looks better than just not having anything on. And I kind of like went down the rabbit hole of being like, this is crazy, that this is just like mental, we do this to ourselves. Like I remember talking and being like, makeup's not cheap. Like I still like, it's so interesting to think about now, like makeup's not cheap. Like mascaras, like depends on where you go, mascara can be like $10, like that's at the drugstore. Like your foundation can range anywhere from like
average
$10
$40
to like $40, and then like you need powder, and then of course you need everything else in your life, like eyeshadow, bronzer, blush,
highlighter.
It's wild. And so I remember like talking about it, and I remember being like, we put this on and we spent all this money, and then we still don't feel good about ourselves, and then we just take it, like, you're wasting money. Like, it's so wild to
Haley comes
me.
at it as a practical. Listen, you're wasting money.
You're wasting money.
By being
You're
self-conscious.
wasting money.
That's so funny.
No, but it just didn't. I remember being like, I would run out of makeup, and I remember like my life would come like crumbling down. Like that was my security blanket. Like wearing makeup, like I still struggle with that too. Like it's very rare that I leave the house like without like a little bit of like foundation or like my mascara on, like my eyebrows done, because like it's just a very big insecurity of mine. But like obviously I've learned to be better at it. But it's one of those things where like I was talking to these girls and I'm trying to like speak truth into them, and I'm over here like I'm not being like real and authentic, because at the time I was like, I don't want you to feel like this, blah blah blah, like, and like they're being like, oh yeah, that's true, that's a good point, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden me go home and be like, I'm not like actually acting what I'm preaching. Like if I'm over here telling these girls that like they don't need any makeup and like they need to like find their like comfort in themselves, like because God made them this way, and God made everybody in his image, and like everybody is like perfect to a certain degree. Like nobody's perfect, but like he took his time to make you.
Yeah.
He knew what your life was going to look like. He was proud of his work, and he sent you off.
Yeah.
Like, and so it really hit home for me, and I was like, if this is what I'm out here preaching, and especially since now like I'm a small group leader and I've been doing it for the past 4 years, like you can't, like you have to practice what you preach. Because then you're just a hypocrite.
I'm not sure I
Oh my gosh, stop it. I'm about to take this off.
And the train.
And the train. But yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But I really think it is very important to really just find yourself in Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Preach. That was good.
Preach.
Yeah, it's hard. But I think that's with everything. Like when I think about pastors and like what they preach, like often than not, like they're gonna struggle with some of the things that they're preaching. But just like school, like teaching is one of the like biggest ways that you learn. And so like preaching or like talking about how you need to care for yourself and treat yourself like is a good way to remind yourself. I think for me, I struggled for a long time like how to bring God into like my body image, like thoughts and issues, like this is gonna sound so bad, but like you grow up hearing like God loves you, like God made you this way, and it just kind of becomes like a repetitive thing that you say to yourself and doesn't mean starts to not mean much when it's just like constantly on repeat and you're still constantly feeling like ugly almost. And so I think this is so like bad that it's so late in my life, but last year, or maybe it was even this year, Kim, it's so funny because like we serve in like high school, but I learned so much from Kim and like her sermons sometimes. I'm just like, well, I'm excited that I get to be here because I get to learn as much as these high schoolers do. But one thing she was talking about was how like your body is the temple of God, and like what does that mean? Like how do you treat the temple of God, and like reading about like what the temple of God was like in the Old Testament and how like pure and clean they had to be to like serve in the temple and like be near the temple, and like now like we are temples of the Holy Spirit, like our bodies get to like be in communion with God like 24/7, no matter what we do, no matter like what sin. But like how do you treat your body, like like not eating or eating like very little, or even like health wise, like not working out or like eating like crap, like on both sides, like that's not treating your body or like the temple of God like how he wants us to. Like God is there with us like in our struggles, and he wants us to like realize that he made us for a purpose, and like part of that is like treating the bodies that we have here on earth as like an act of worship to God, because like that is like, you know, honoring what he's gifted us with, and that's all this.
All this. No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What do you do about it now when you struggle with it?
I think now when I see myself falling into these, like, how do I word it? Like, when I know that it's something, like, is coming on. Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense? Like, when I know that, like, I'm about to be at a pretty low point, or, like, feel a certain way, I try to, like, reach out to, like, people I trust, like you, or, like, my mom, or family and friends. Or what I think has been, like, really important, which I know that we've done a couple of times, is, like, taking mental health days.
Yeah, we need another one.
We do need another one.
It's been a while.
But to literally just have a day dedicated to, like, spending time with yourself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, like, and I think a lot of that, like, you can treat yourself. Like, don't get me wrong. You can go and get your nails done. You can go on a spa day. You can go get a massage, whatever. But, like, that could also just mean, like, going somewhere.
Yeah.
And, like, if that could literally just mean, like, driving up to, like, GMR or, like, the Point and just, like, sitting and just, like, being with yourself, or even just, like, spending time with God and reading the Bible.
Have you ever been on a Jesus date?
No.
I did that a couple times during 2020, where you go on a date with yourself, and, like, it's like,
you and
this
Jesus.
is going to be so cheesy, but it's like you're on a date with Jesus, and you're just like, you, like, intentionally are, like, okay, like, constantly, like, talking to Jesus, like, he's there with you, like how you would, like, on a date.
Interesting.
And, like,
no,
I'll do it where I'll, like, journal. So, like, and it's such a hard practice, because it's literally going to a restaurant and eating by yourself.
Oh, I hate doing anything by myself.
Yeah.
If anybody knows me, they know that.
It is a challenge, but I
love
it so much, because the waiters look at you like, what the heck is happening? But it's just like, no, like, you need to normalize, like, dates with yourself, dates with God. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
So.
What do you do that helps you?
I talk about it, and I need accountability sometimes to, like, whether it's, like, eating. I think the thing that's been hard in this past year that I've never experienced before, and it sucks, is, like, I love food and I love eating, but my appetite in the past, like, year, and I don't know if, like, this has to do with, like, body image stuff. I kind of feel like it probably does, but that's been, like, my struggle. And so, like, having people hold me accountable for, like, you know, like, hey, like, you gotta eat, you know, like, and you don't need to eat ice cream for dinner, because that is a guilty pleasure.
Dang it. No, yeah, you have to fuel your body. Yeah, the proper things. No, yeah, that's hard.
So, accountability partner, help me out. Just kidding. Touch base later. Yeah.
So good.
It's hard. It's something we're constantly struggling with, and constantly, like, you know, maybe one day it won't even be a thought in my head. That would be great.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. But in the meantime, it's, like, learning how to deal with it and not letting it control your life, and, like, trusting people to talk about it, and remembering
into the Lord
that we're made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So good.
What a good episode.
So good.
We're getting to the end. So,
we're getting to the end.
Hailey, what is your final POV
for
season 1?
I don't know what my final episode
I
for
have my
season
final
1 is.
episode 1.
Why don't you go first then?
Okay, I went and saw The Little Mermaid.
Of course you did.
I've seen it twice. Cried both times. Highly recommend. It is so good. It's wild. Okay, but whenever, like, I see a movie that I like, I go and watch all the interviews. And one of the interviews was with Alan Menken, who's, like, the Disney composer. He, like, does all the, like, Disney songs and stuff, like the orchestra behind it.
Got it.
And this one girl was interviewing Alan Menken and was like, yeah, so, like, who's gonna take over you when you she didn't say it explicitly, but first of all, he's, like, in his mid-70s. He's fine. He's not gonna die anytime soon. But she's just, like, she was basically asking, like, is there gonna be another you when you're gone? Like, that is never a question I want to ask anybody or want to be asked is like, who's going to be my replacement when I'm dead? So my POV is people need to stop worrying about what's going to happen when Alan Menken dies. Random POV, I gotta say, but stop asking Alan Menken
when he's gonna pass. He doesn't know when he's gonna pass. He doesn't know.
Also, he doesn't need to worry about a replacement. He's an epic legend.
He can't be replaced.
He can't be replaced. Stop trying to replace him.
Don't be rude.
Lin-Manuel's coming close, though, I gotta say. He did great on the soundtrack.
Okay. I think my POV is that... Bro, it was just in my brain.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It's fizzling away. Oh, no, I got it. I don't think I would ever go skydiving.
Yeah, I agree. Or in a submarine.
Devastating. Did they ever find those people?
No, it imploded. Apparently. It's tragic.
When did that come out?
Oh, like a few hours ago. Yeah.
I was taking a nap.
Tragic.
Let's have a moment of silence for those people. That's actually very sad.
That's very sad. But they did.
I did hear that it was like controlled by an Xbox remote, so I don't really know how.
And there were no windows, so it's like you could have just stayed at the surface and seen.
I also heard that there was no, like, you can't stand up.
Nope. Only one person can spread their legs at a time, but there is a toilet, so that doesn't make sense to me. Well, anyways, with your POV, submarine, no skydiving.
I want to say, that's why I said I don't think I would, because you never know. Like, maybe there's one time in your life that you, like, I would be like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea.
You got to do it before kids.
Just like, oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah, but it's so interesting to me. And I think what is so interesting, because people don't like to do things extreme, or some people don't like to do things extreme, is because they're afraid that they're going to die, obviously. But I think you have, like, not the same chances of dying, but, like, obviously, but it's so, like, you could die, like, I could be like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
But it's like, I could leave this podcast right now. And die.
Would you ever go bungee jumping?
I don't think so.
If you had to choose, like, you have to do one of them, would you bungee jump or skydive?
I think I would skydive.
I would bungee jump.
Bungee jump seems too scary because I feel like I'd be like, oh, it's fine, I'm strapped in. And then, like, I've seen people and it snaps.
What if you hit the
ground? And it's like, you have full faith that that thing's going to help you.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you're skydiving, I guess you have full faith that the instructor behind you is really going to help you out.
Hopefully
but I don't want to, I don't want to have, I don't know. That's just scary.
Tragic.
But, yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. to the submarine people. Don't do crazy, stupid things. If you're skydiving, hopefully you don't have kids that are depending on you.
Yeah. Also, if you have $250,000 to go on a submarine voyage to the Titanic wreckage,
I'll do something.
Donate it to this podcast so we can finally eat more than just ramen noodles for the past 2 months.
Yeah. And Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah. Donate to the church.
Donate to the church.
Or a charity.
Or a charity.
Or an orphanage.
Or start to end hunger, you know.
Or like Africa. Or some students.
Yeah. College students need $250. You know what? You could pay for my seminary.
Or there's like other things.
So many things. Wild.
That was a good one.
Ending it on a crazy
note. All right, guys. This is the last episode of season 1.
Stay tuned for season 2. We're gonna announce when it's coming out.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat.
A real treat.
A real treat.
We may have some surprises along the way.
Yeah, along the way to season 2.
So keep a lookout on our social media, because we may be talking about some things and possibly, putting out some surprises.
Yeah. Also, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you know when the videos launch. Mm-hmm. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you follow us so that you'll get the notification. And then we also have a TikTok, so you'll see some things on there.
Good old TikTok.
Make sure you follow us on TikTok too. Get that up. And yeah, look out for some exciting things coming up.
Because it's coming.
Not gonna spoil it, but it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
All right.
With that,
our last goodbye of season 1.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.